Guys, I just watched the scariest movie of my life.
No way. What was it?
It was, oh God, it was so messed up. It was like, it followed a kid, right? There's this kid named Max, and he lives in a pretty rough part of town, like scary as hell part of town, right? I mean, on any day, he could be caught up in gang activity. And one day he does. He gets caught up, and he's running from this gang, and he falls into this abandoned warehouse, right? And this is where it starts to get truly terrifying. It's dusty in here. It's dark. It has that supernatural feel. And he ends up bumping into a boombox, okay? And this thing releases the most powerful genie ever unleashed upon the world. This is terror at its highest form. From there, the terrors continue, all right? There's father issues. There's horrific junk food raining from the sky.
Twinkies!
And this genie signs a rap deal. Oh, the horror! At this point in the movie, I just wanted to scream, what the fuck? Wait, what the French toast? Oh, God. Guys, are we censored?
Oh, shucks.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Oh, this is ducking weird.
Oh, well, let's see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. Get your monkey-fighting snakes off this Monday to Friday plane and tell your mother she sews socks in hell. Because today, Happy Horror Hour is Fudging PG-13.
Woo! The boogeyman is real, and you found it. My worst dream come true. I'm everything.
Don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It's the Happy Horror Hour.
All right, guys, welcome into Happy Horror Hour. Today is our Fudging PG-13 episode. That means it's family friendly. Gather your kids around and everybody listen to the podcast because there will be no swear words. Hopefully no swear words on this episode. We actually established some rules for this episode. You guys want to talk about that?
The rule is this episode is PG-13, so there are some curse words you can say in PG-13 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Disturbia use shit very much.
A lot.
Yeah.
So I think shit is definitely a word we can say, but if we say the F word, we lose a point. And
The F word is the big one.
Everyone's, so and the other thing too is you can say ass and you can say hole, but you cannot
But you can't
say
them
it
together.
together.
Yeah.
no,
Or
that's
else
on
we'll-
TV. No, that's
we'll
on
need to bleep
TV.
it.
This is PG-13. Like on TV, you can't say it, but this is PG-13.
Oh, maybe. Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
you might be right.
Oh, so we're not TVY7.
So I just want to make it clear, we usually we
Cam.
bank on a point system here at Happy Horror Hour, and today is the first episode where negative points can be given if any of us drops the F-bomb or a word worse than shit or damn or whatever is not PG-13 appropriate.
Can we do
Ben's
the
dropping
drop?
the C word. Oh, yes.
Negative point.
Wait, no, that's not a bad word.
You
Yes.
cannot say that, bro.
The red
Dude.
light is on, my friend.
You
It counts.
cannot say that.
For real?
For real, bro.
Have you ever seen anyone say that in a PG-13 movie
Oh my
before?
God, Benjamin. Jesus.
This is America.
Cheese and rice.
It's America. Cheese and rice.
Ah, hell, diddly ding dong crap! Can't you morons do anything right?
And then I also wanted to ask you guys before we get going on today's episode, could anyone guess what the movie was that I opened with? Because usually we talk about that. Did anyone know what movie it was?
So we were talking about like Shazam or Kazam, right? It's Sinbad, right? The Sinbad.
Is this the Sinbad one or the Shaq one?
Why is that
this real
something
life?
that's haunted our generation?
Dude, I'm
What is
telling you
this?
right now, I remember watching the movie with Sinbad.
All right,
I know it happened.
guys, Berenstein or Berenstain?
Berenstein.
The freaking Mandela effect, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, I guarantee that movie actually happened in my like timeline. And somehow I went to a different one where it doesn't exist, apparently.
Well, in this timeline, Happy Horror Hour is doing PG-13 films for this episode. And on this one, the movies we decided to go with were Night of the Comet, Tremors, Darkness Falls, and Disturbia. So we kind of got... Yeah, that's something that we've all been singing this week. I'm
Love
sure.
Riri.
Yeah.
Nonstop. We're going to open up with Night of the Comet right now because in 1984, it was the first time in American cinema that PG-13 rating was ever released. The first film being August 10th, 1984, Red Dawn, good Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey film. But a few months later, on November 16th, 1984, I believe the first horror PG-13 film was released, and that was Night of the Comet.
So much fun. I freaking like
This movie was a surprise, man.
Yeah,
Had a good time.
dude.
So I actually put first 30 seconds of the movie. Gabby will verify this. I looked at Gabby and went, "This is 5 stars, and I have to be talked down." 30 seconds
True story.
into this movie, I already was like, "This is 5 stars."
How many times did you get to open a film in the 80s where a woman is crushing an arcade game? Like,
Okay.
she is the
So,
leaderboard, bro.
I'm
That's
just going to
awesome.
say right now, I am 100% in love with Regina.
Ben
Like,
falls in
she-
love every week. Have you guys
No.
noticed that?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
beautiful. She's badass. She's a nerd. Like she's
She works at
super
a
cool.
movie theater.
Yeah.
And she likes McDonald's breakfast. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that was what was interesting about that too, is that
White
the movie was relentlessly positive about her
Mhm.
because she had casual sex. But they
Yes.
didn't treat her like
Yes,
a
she
whore or
did.
a slut
No,
or anything
not
like
at
that.
all.
It was
Yeah, no
like,
shaming.
no, like I was like, that's so cool. I'm like, she's nerdy, she's confident, she's badass, like all of that things. Like, and like they never once kind of gave up on that.
It's not a negative thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
Do you want to drop the actress's name, please, for Regina, so that way we can credit where credit is due?
Catherine Mary Stewart.
Sorry, right before the comet hits, can we just talk about that wild scene where Samantha and her mother like go slap, punch?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what game is this?
I will say, like, the great thing about this movie is that all of the women were strong, including Doris, because that was one hell of a punch.
Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the face.
That was quite fun.
She knocked her
Okay,
over the couch.
so fun fact. Apparently, with the slapping, Kelly Maroney, who plays Samantha, wasn't getting the reaction that she wanted, and so she flat out said, like, "You need to hit me."
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
And because they this was a super low budget film, they ended up. She actually got hit. That scene where she gets slapped, she got hit. Because they needed it to be realistic. And she's like, this is the only way I'm going to get the reaction that I want.
Comet hits, right? Everyone on Earth is just obliterated, except if you were in steel. Is that
Steel?
the rules?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was steel, yeah.
If you were behind steel doors or steel walls or in your car, then you aren't hit. And everyone is in the world is turned to dust. And I just want to say on the record from me, from now on, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame will now be referred to as that shitty Night of the Comet remake.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
That's all I'm
Yes,
I'm here
Dude.
for
point
it.
for Zach. Point
for
for
Zach.
Zach.
Point for Zach.
In my notes, I put they did the snap before Russo Brothers, and I
Yeah.
refuse to believe that they were not inspired by some way in this movie because Joss Whedon was actually inspired
Yeah.
by this movie for his
Buffy.
Buffy movie.
For
Yep.
Buffy.
So there is a tie
Really?
to the
Yeah.
Avengers
Yep.
movies because the Russo brothers took over for Joss Whedon. So 100% they both love Night of the Comet just like me.
The whole entire world is snapped to dust unless you were behind steel in this film. Luckily, our lead character, Regina, was in a theater projection booth, which apparently is surrounded by
All
steel.
steel. Yeah.
Didn't know that, but this
Didn't know
is
that
a
either.
very, very well-built projection booth.
They had a yada yada line.
Yada, yada, yada. I never heard from him again.
They're like, oh yeah, it's because of the fires or something.
I'm kind of confused about
okay.
that whole thing with the cars. Like, okay, yeah, the car is steel, but there's
But the windows. Right.
Like, that's
This
one thing
is
I didn't understand.
horror movie logic. Let's not, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
for another show.
This is the first PG-13 horror film, so
yeah.
The logic that I did like, though, is I really liked how they had like the degradation factor and the exposure factor. Like, that was pretty cool to see. And like, at first I was like, oh, talking zombies, but I was like, no, these people aren't zombies. These people are like, they kind of are, but it's more so. It's just like I think of it as more something else.
They're like radiation exposed.
Yeah, like something like that.
The original title of this film was actually Teenage Mutant Horror Comet Zombies.
Comet Zombies.
Yeah. So it was fully intentional with the zombie premise, and they actually say that whole line when they're in the radio station.
Yeah, when she's doing the radio show.
Can we take any requests from you, Teenage Mutant Horror Comet Zombies? So for me, it's like it's hard for me to try to imagine them as something else when like I know the filmmaker's intent
for sure
was a talking zombie. Everyone's snapped to dust. You got these sisters, Regina and Samantha. They go and hold up inside of a radio station, right? That's like their where they make like their camp, their base camp for how to figure out what to do next because they're getting a signal. And so it makes them feel like some normality left in the world. So they're staying at this radio station. And I have to make a note that all of the set pieces up to this point have had just incredible neon lighting, great fog use, like you guys mentioned earlier, the soundtrack is like synthy, punchy.
Oh,
like,
great.
So far, the atmosphere is that they've built is just so holistic. Like it's so the 80s that it's easy to fall in love with if that's your aesthetic. So
I told Matt watching this movie, I was like, this movie is so 80s. And then when it gets to the point where Regina and her sister go to the mall before it even started. I told
montage?
Matt, I was like, are we getting an 80s clothing montage? Yeah. Is this happening? And it did. And I was like, that's a star just on its own.
We're gonna need a montage.
Can we also just point out that they casually set down Mac 10s before they do their dance? It's like, let me set my gun down before my 80s dance montage.
When they do go on their post-apocalyptic 80s shopping montage, I was kind of confused. Who were the mall bandit people?
I was a little confused by that as well.
They're like, I don't know, like anarchists or whatever. They just kind of took over they didn't survive.
Okay, so
they were slowly decomposing or whatever. But
were they all zombies, or was it just the main?
That's
guy?
what I didn't understand.
I think it was all of. I think they were all like slowly.
Yeah. I think he was
transforming, which is why they were so fucked up and evil.
You know what I think is if you think of this movie like a Fallout movie, and that they're the ghouls in the game, and I just like, you know what, this makes
like
sense.
Fallout the game.
Yeah, right. It makes you want to play New Vegas.
Yeah, and so like when the mall encounter is just like when you you go into an encounter in the game where it's like, oh, I'm searching a new area. It's like Fallout or Skyrim. If you think of this game like video game logic, and like they're just walking around with Mac 10s and customizing their appearance and all of that, like
they totally are.
Oh my god! Point to Matt.
Point to Matt. So I'm just gonna finish up the synopsis of the film, so then we can go wild with scores and thoughts and notes. After they finish at the mall, they escape from whatever the mall bandits were. They end up going into some underground government lab where they're doing tests on the virus, and they're this is where the plot
this
gets
is
wild.
Fallout 4. Yeah. Holy shit. Like,
is shit allowed? Shit's allowed, right?
Shit's allowed.
Yeah, shit's
okay.
Fine.
Shit, yeah.
Earmuffs. They can say fuck, shit, bitch, whatever you want.
Cock, balls.
Okay, I'm just proving a point. You don't have to celebrate it, Frank.
So my favorite part of Night of the Comet is in this underground government lab, they're pulling blood out of any of the survivors that were left on Earth, and they're pulling blood out of these children, which is going to kill them. And my favorite part is above the kids, there's this little handwritten sign that says, "Going to see Santa."
Things are all fucked up at the North Pole. See, Mrs. Santa called me her sister.
Yes!
You're gonna live with Santa.
You're gonna live with Santa forever.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, yo, this is dark.
I will say this is the most accurate depiction I've seen of Los Angeles during Christmas time. Like, just everything's dry in that orangey color. You got zombies walking around everywhere, still shopping. Like, this is exactly Los Angeles during Christmas time. They nailed it. So there's this crosswalk gag at the end where they won't cross the street, even though it's a post-apocalyptic world. They won't cross the street because they're what do they call? They say it exactly.
Don't cross against the light.
Yeah, they refuse to cross against the light. They're waiting for the crosswalk signal to change. And Regina's sister Samantha's like, "What do you mean? It's the end of the world." She goes out in the street and like it doesn't matter. Did anyone else just immediately envision Final Destination 1?
Yes.
The bus hit.
Yes.
I mean, like immediately in my head, I was like, "Oh my god, is this going?"
I'm like, she's for sure gonna die. Like she's gonna get drilled.
Final Destination makes sense. I definitely was thinking Mean Girls. Same general idea.
Totally. Yeah,
Regina?
like totally, yeah.
I was gonna say they faked her death out 4 times in this movie, or 3 times in this movie.
Samantha? Yeah, they did fake her death out a lot.
I was actually thinking Scary Movie.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
That's pretty much the crazy film. Actually, speaking of Samantha, originally auditioned for the role was Heather Langenkamp. And thank God Heather Langenkamp did not get the role of Samantha, because instead she ended up making a small little film called Nightmare on Elm Street where she played the role of Nancy.
Oh.
Nice.
There you go.
Zach. Yeah, point to Zach. That was good.
Damn you for doing research.
I know. And then,
by the way, DMK is Danny Mason Keener.
Oh, yeah. Nice little IMDb trivia note. Sorry, so they weren't going to ever explain who DMK was on the arcade machine, and they ended up, the director got talked into making it the license plate of the guy who goes and picks up Samantha at the end of the film, which was a fun little circle around.
I thought the movie was absolutely fantastic. It was a lot of fun. Pacing was great up until the third act, and then it kind of like came back. 4 stars for sure.
I do want to make a note that I absolutely loved the look of the film. I thought the colors of the lighting was really well done. And I had to go look up the director of photography who did it. It's Arthur Albert. And you'll be surprised to find out that not only did he do 165 episodes of ER as a DP, not only did he do Beverly Hills Ninja, which we all love, not only did he do Happy Gilmore, but director of photography Arthur Albert also did the finale to Breaking Bad. So
point to
Zach. You and your research.
That is
that's some good knowledge there.
So just to see like where his career went after this film, and you can see the talent on the film in this, like it's so impressive. And Arthur Albert, that's going to be a DP I'll be looking out for from here on out for sure.
Goddamn right.
So I said in the beginning that in the first 30 seconds, I said, this is 5 stars.
Top five.
And I need to be talked down. And when I watched the movie, it never gave an opportunity. I was always surprised. I was always like, I did not think they would go there. And then the jumping around and stuff, it didn't bother me. It actually made me want to learn more. I'm I want to know about this underground society. It felt like Fallout for me. I'm like, they're building synth. I know it. And so all of that, the fact that I wanted to spend more time in this world, I would have actually extended the length. I want a series. I want to see their adventures because the characters were so good. I would just love to see them interact. Just more. I could live in that world much longer. And if there was a good sequel to it, I would watch that one too. Cause I'm going to recommend this movie to frickin' anyone I can. And for me, it transcends horror. For me, it's just it's a freaking great movie.
The main thing I want to point out about this movie is it felt really special to me. Because it reminded me of me and my sister. I was telling Matt, in a lot of horror films, you don't see, for whatever reason, it seems like siblings in a lot of horror movies have these big age gaps, right? Or they're different genders and they're very close in age.
Right.
It's always a 17-year-old sister and she has a 5-year-old sister,
right.
In these situations.
I think because it's they want to push our morality as an audience.
Oh, sure. Right. And then it reaches out, right? It reaches out to more audience, different types of audiences. And what was cool is that age gap is almost exactly like my sister and I. Their personality types kind of remind me of us as well. I texted my sister before the movie had even ended, and I said, "You have to watch this movie." I was like, "You're gonna love this," and
that's why we do this. That's the best.
And so for me to have that and get to watch that that representation of having such a sick female character. I told Matt, I was she honestly might be one of my favorite final girls I've ever watched, to be honest. She just was so cool. So the movie was just like really fun for me to watch. And if I can recommend it to my sister, that's definitely, I think, a pretty big deal. So definitely 4 stars.
How did that movie predict that we would all be having nightmares about being killed by cops in 2020?
Point to Matt.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that movie was so ahead of its time. It had strong women. It had, anti-police brutality.
For real? Wow.
It had a diverse cast. The male was of a Latinx descent.
You had a Latinx character.
Like, this movie was...
without being
It was so freaking progressive that I was like... I couldn't go down from the 5 stars.
Next film up on the docket for us is going to be Tremors. This film came out in 1990. It's probably that VHS staple you watched as a kid and you didn't really understand, but you loved the monsters, or at least that's how it was for me. This one stars Kevin Bacon and a very convincing 90s John Bernthal. Did anyone else feel that way about Fred Ward?
Dude, totally.
Same.
Right?
Totally.
Yes.
I was like, if this ever gets remade, we need John Bernthal to play. What was his name? It was Valentine and Earl. Is that what
I think you guys, you guys have this wrong. John Bernthal looks like Fred Ward.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, if you don't see me again, it's because I'm dead.
This is a really easy synopsis to run through, so I'll just say it really quick so the audience doesn't get lost, in case that for some reason they missed Tremors. We're out in the town of, it's Perfection, right? The town's called Perfection. Small town called Perfection. Just imagine it out in the desert, middle of nowhere, and these evil sandworms underneath the ground decide to start attacking this town, and these people in this small town band together and they have to fight against them in creative ways. The creative ways is like staying off of the ground, being on top of buildings, being on top of rocks. If you're on the ground, they're going to grab you, graboid, and they're going to suck you down into the ground.
It can hear every move we make, especially on this rock. It's a perfect conductor.
That means we're stuck. That pisses me off.
This movie brings me back to childhood so freaking hard because it's literally the floor is lava.
Oh my God, I have that note. All right, point to Ben.
Yeah, point to Ben.
More like 75 drinking, 20 Candyland. And by the way, the floor is molten lava.
This is the perfect family-friendly creature feature to me.
Yeah, that was fun.
Totally.
There was a moment, like specifically, it was like when they saw the helmet of the guy that got killed by the worm, like off screen.
Yeah.
There was a surprising amount of gore, not just blood. I was like, there's some gore there.
Matter.
Yeah, I was like, it felt like some meat. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is, out of all the movies, I think, like, this movie had the most almost like violence where they pushed the edge a bit. Like that felt, I was like, oh, wow. I was like, and like this movie actually started off being rated R for language and stuff. But
and
still,
they did some really funny
Mother Humper.
Mother Humper. That's fantastic. And they left it in the theatrical
cut. Did you get that Mother Humper?
Like that.
What I love about that is that this movie comes in with built-in terrible TV edits.
Yeah. Oh, it's just ready to go.
We killed it. You got that? We killed that Mother Humper. Come back.
I get why this is a classic. Like that movie, the dialogue is so punchy from the get-go, and like it's all just and then this is another one of those movies where everybody actually survives and works together. I love when a movie can do that. They don't just make characters stupid for the sake of being able to kill them. So I thought that was cool too.
Like my favorite line probably in the whole movie was, "We'll take your word for it." When she's pointing out that there's 2 more worms because of this, and she points out the first one, and then she's about to point out the second, and he's like, we'll take your word for it. The fact that they instantaneously all trust each other and that there's no like, oh, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It's like they immediately believe each other. They're immediately like all in the same team. The fact that they trust the female scientist in like any movie, like how often do you see that?
She doesn't know what she's talking about. And then a worm comes out and it's like, oh, now we should trust her. They didn't even do that. They just, we trust her.
She's the scientist.
I kept waiting for that character who was going to instill doubt. I was waiting for that person to deny what was going on. That never happens in this movie. Everybody's just on board and be like, let's go and do it.
Coming back to the whole fact that you never actually really see the entire worm. You only get to see the front, and then you get found the ass end.
I found the ass end.
And that line just, like the child in me just had to giggle.
The interesting thing with the actual graboids was the fact that they initially were so obviously in the film they have these this tongue these tongues basically that come out that they're snake type creatures that come out of the big worm's mouth. But initially when they had the characters or the creature design, it was actually supposed to basically be a sheath of the skin would come out and it would have this other worm. And they ended up going away from that because it kind of looked like an uncircumcised penis. And people were like, this is just the foreskin. We're gonna move away from this. And we're going to have these snake worms come out of its mouth instead.
I always like a movie where people just giggle about immature stuff. And it's just
it's like a penis.
The fact that they had to change the entire creature design because probably one person giggled is how much money that costed because one person giggled.
We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It has a long, smooth shaft, complete with two balls.
The car sinking into the ground was insane, and I think would have been such because this is a Universal IP. This is Universal property. The car sinking into the ground would have been my favorite thing to see ever on a Universal Studios backlot tour. I don't know why they didn't think to add any part of this film, especially it being such a home video success. And I'll mention that now. This movie bombed at the box office. When it was released on VHS, it actually tripled its box office gross sales. So and it's because of the great cover art. It's because of the word of mouth. It's because it's that popcorn movie that you can go together with your friends, pop it in, and just see some wild, crazy sandworm monsters.
This movie was just so much fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Much fun. Oh my God. This by far would have been the best Back to the Future 3 script ever. Scrap the whole weird Western thing we did.
Way better than the Western.
And we just do Tremors instead, but with Doc and Marty. Could you imagine? Doc, are you telling me that these worms are 80 feet tall?
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that it's 8:25?
Get in, Marty! Great Scott! I'm just saying.
Damn
Marty.
you, Zach. Point for Zach.
You gotta get in the time machine, Marty.
Did you call him Marty?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I actually have a fun fact. The sounds of the graboids that you hear in the film, the Foley work of the graboids, can be heard in Predator 2, Ants, Kong Skull Island, but they can also be heard in Starship Troopers for the bugs. They just recycle the
That is
sounds
right. And in Jurassic Park as well. And guess who else was in this movie? Ariana Richards, who was Lex in Jurassic Park.
The daughter?
She was the daughter.
Who was she in the film? In Tremors?
She's the little girl. The one that plays on the pogo stick.
Oh, was that her?
Yeah,
oh
it's her.
My gosh, she was so little in Tremors.
She was little.
There was a little girl in this movie, and I forgot about that.
Tremors is a blast. We can all agree. I'm moving us into final notes and scores. I want to move us along. I'm going to start it off just because I never started off, so I'll start it off. Tremors, 5 stars. For me. I mean, everything about it is so fun.
I'm giving the movie 5 stars as well. Little insight into behind the scenes. As we were talking about our scores for this movie, Zach was like, "This is 5 stars for me," and all that. And and I sat there and he started saying the things that I liked about the movie, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to change my score to 5 stars now so that I don't have to give him a point during the episode because I was like, damn, he's right. This is a 5-star movie.
This is what we call petty.
For real.
This is so much fun.
The creatures are crazy. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. So 4 stars.
God damn it to Zach and Matt. I'm definitely going to bump it up to a 5. As you guys were talking about it, I'm like, I can't talk this down. I can't think of why I didn't give it that extra star. And also, I'm pretty sure this inspired one of my favorite episodes of SpongeBob, which is the Alaskan bullworm episode.
Oh,
so I'm here for
it. That's awesome.
It was big. It was all wiggly. And it ate everything.
Next on our list, we got Darkness Falls. This is a PG-13 movie straight out of the year of 2003. 2003 was a good year for horror films. Wrong Turn. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Turn?
The movie that you rated
favorite horror film ever?
Zach,
right?
I'm just going to say, Wrong Turn, that's as good as Bride of Frankenstein, right? Yeah, Wrong Turn and Bride of Frankenstein deserve the same rating, don't they, Zach?
You need to think back to your level of enjoyment while watching both of those films. You'll think back to it. You might even lean Wrong Turns, my friend.
Yeah, like maybe you would give Bride of Frankenstein at least a 4 or a 5.
I'm not gonna lie, Zach, the fact that you did not give Bride of Frankenstein at least a 4-star, you're a piece of shit.
This film is about the Tooth Fairy as a horror monster. The Tooth Fairy, that is correct. The one and only who collects the teeth for a coin or $1 or whatever you used to do under the pillow. This film starts with like this old pictures and really creepy storytelling that like immediately I was terrified. Like, was anybody else feeling that from the movie?
This is the scariest movie we watched this week, for sure.
Like, it was hella scary.
Really?
If anybody's ever dealt with sleep paralysis? So I've dealt with it my entire life, and I have this like whole thing where it's this realm in between like sleep and awake, and you're conscious, but your body is not. And so there's times where this dark, shadowy creature will be there and hovering above you. And that's what this movie reminded me of. And that's why it was so freaking scary to me.
At the beginning of this film, you get this like fairy tale type telling of the Tooth Fairy and how she was,
which was amazing,
how she was wronged and how she was murdered. And now she haunts this town, Darkness Falls, right? So she's haunting this town. Now we're in the present day, or 2003 present day. And, immediately you get like a window scare, which scared the F out of me. When that little girl was at the window, I was like, whoa.
Oh, no. I didn't like that at all.
No, not at all. And then you get a kind of a ridiculous amount of blood for losing a tooth.
I agree.
That was gratuitous.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little much.
Yeah, sorry, that was right before the window scare. And then right after that, it just goes into like full on the darkest horrors ever as a kid in the room. I mean, like hiding under the covers. Were you guys hiding under the covers type of kids, or were you what did you do to deal with the scary monsters in the room?
I would put my bottom teeth out and I would pretend like I was a werewolf. And like, and in my head, I was like, yeah, like people will be scared of me if I do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gave yourself the super strength to.
Right. And so that was kind of like, that's how I like dealt with things. So like when I was scared at night, like, and I was walking through the house and like going to the bathroom, I would do that. I was like, yeah.
I mean, I've been told, Ben, that he who makes a beast out of himself gets rid of the pain
of being a man.
The Tooth Fairy is hanging above the covers that this kid is in. You get another immediate, like we're 5 minutes into the movie, immediately another horrifying scare where you see her with the porcelain mask on and he unlifts the covers and it's just so flippin' scary.
Dude.
And then he runs down the hall, this young child, into his bathroom to turn all the lights on because the Tooth Fairy can't be in the light. Hence, Darkness Falls. This is all a theme here. Tooth Fairy can't be in the light. She can only live in the dark, right? And she wants, if you look at her, when she's going to collect your tooth, now she has to kill you. I believe are the rules established.
Yeah, once you see her.
Grudge rules.
Mm-hmm. So the mom sees the little boy in the bathroom and is like, oh, what are you doing in here? You know, there's nothing scary in your room. Let me go check. Mom goes in the room, just mutilated. Like,
okay,
dead.
Hold on.
Dead.
Can we talk about the fact, why didn't the mom turn on the freaking light?
Turn the porch lights on.
Oh, that's not my boyfriend. I mean, I've fucked him a couple of times, but that's it.
The mom gets mutilated in the bedroom. The child's hiding in the bathroom. All the lights are on in the bathroom. And then you get like the best shot of the entire film where we're pulling out of the bathroom. The little kid's like huddled up in the light. We pull out of the bathroom and on the wall is the Tooth Fairy just like screeching a wretched, horrific sound like a demon from hell.
I have an interesting fun fact. So in the IMDb credits, it actually says some guy
at the beginning was directed by Danny Boyle.
Well, that is true. No, in the IMDb credits, it actually credits a guy as doing the sounds for the Tooth Fairy, but it actually was, they recorded moans from an old woman in like a retirement home type thing. And they recorded it and they just sped it up and slowed it down for different like sounds. And that makes it even more terrifying.
Oh yeah. And then that's kind of that for like the terror of the film for me. Like after that, we move I'm sorry. I said earlier that we were in the present. There was another time jump to make it even more in the present. So this little kid is now grown up. Everyone thinks he killed his mom.
Did anybody else feel that the cop would have been a better older version of the child that played the kid? Because the main cop, like the son of the sheriff or whatever,
Matt.
Yeah. Did anybody else feel like he looked just like the kid? I was like, whoa, like I feel like he should have been the guy.
Wait, are you talking about Cuck Boy? The Cuck Boy that's introduced in the movie? Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, Matt loses the point. Freaking Cuck.
You know what? It was worth it to say it.
We find out that the little girl that snuck through his window when he was a child she's now grown up, and she has a little brother who is now experiencing the same Tooth Fairy night terrors that Kyle was experiencing. When she's on the phone with him, there's this really great scene where she goes, so Kyle, how did you get over your night terrors? And the camera turns and there's just a wall full of drawings of all of the Tooth Fairy masks, like scribbled out frantic manic drawings.
Dude, I wrote in my notes, that's the secret, Cap. I never got over it.
I literally notes are, how'd you get over it? I didn't.
I put, how did you get over it? I didn't. Damn, that's dark. Wow, I'm so funny.
Can I give a point to all of us for that? Because we all said the same thing.
Is that our first group point?
Group point.
Group point.
A group point.
Yes, group point.
I'm down. Good job, Ben.
Dude, honestly, it was just so funny. Like Zach, you nailed it. Like that, where she's on the phone with him, and they pan over to the wall. all these drawings.
It's like this movie. Is this like Tremors, where it stands on its own as a comedy?
It's so good.
Well, I think what makes it better is before they do it, they show him taking all of his meds and how many meds he takes, and so you're like, oh, he's getting help, you know?
Isn't he also like building flashlights like constantly?
Yeah.
Seriously, dude, he goes into a freaking gun store and buys flashlights.
You need a gun? He's like, no, I'm gonna steal one.
How do you not love this movie?
He probably couldn't purchase one, right? Because he's
mentally ill.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't even think about that.
So a mentally ill person steals a gun and then goes after the Tooth Fairy.
Letting the mental illness patient Kyle go speak with the younger brother who's also having the same problems. I just don't know if like the man who has manic like drawings all over his walls should be the one giving advice to the little boy about how to deal with these things.
Oh, you haven't had your shit together since you killed your mom?
Yeah.
How creepy was the kid though, where he's like, I know you've seen them too, or seen her too. I know you have.
You're getting lucky tonight. He doesn't know you're a guy.
The scene of him, the little boy going in the MRI machine was
terrifying. We're talking about it.
Dude.
We're talking about that right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, so the doctors obviously don't believe the little kid. And they're like, we need to put him in a sensory deprivation tank, which they were putting him in an MRI machine, just calling it a sensory deprivation tank. That's not the same thing. Because they couldn't afford one. Right. And it's also like, how do you shoot someone going in a sensory deprivation tank besides the screen being black and silent?
I was going to say the whole point to it.
They're pushing him in this MRI machine. And all I could think of, and this is a callback to your shout out to Jurassic Park earlier, was I was like, this is that scene when they feed the goat to the raptor cage.
How are they doing? Feeding them.
You know, where everyone's
no, totally.
everyone's just watching the goat.
Point to Zach.
Point to Zach. The sacrificial lamb.
Dude, it literally was like
that's what's happening to this little boy. He's just gonna get torn up.
So there's an F-bomb drop in this, and it's so casual. It's as Matt and the main character are, kind of dealing with the final fight, the boss fight, as it's basically
the boss fight.
They're going down the stairs. And he just casually says, all this over an effing tooth? And it's just like, oh, this movie gets it. It's self-aware.
Yeah.
They know what's going on.
Right.
And once again, reason why it's a 3, we got an actual Falcon punch. I used to joke about it.
Dude, yes!
Falcon punch!
For me, this movie is it's 3 stars because if I honestly, I'm so down for a 75-minute movie that's short and to the point. It's definitely not it's not perfect, but when I originally saw the reviews on this are brutal, dude. It has a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 23% Metacritic score, and 5 out of 10 on IMDb. So I had
the 5 out of 10 is generous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And so I was thinking, I'm this movie's going to be pretty bad, and I was honestly pleasantly surprised. I'm down for movies. It reminds me of just some of those short anthology films, a little bit. So yeah, I'm here for it. 3 stars.
I gave it 4 stars. That movie was so much fun, and it if you've ever dealt with any type of sleep paralysis, this is what it's like. That is the best visual representation of the shadow creature that haunts me. And it was amazing.
I'm moving us along to our final film on the docket today. The last film we watched in the PG... Yes. Yeah, thank you for the background music. The last movie we watched in our PG-13 grouping was Disturbia from 2007. Yeah, there it is. We, I don't know, collectively as a group, this is a movie that kind of all touched our lives in different ways or similar ways, I suppose, because it came out at a time when we were all teenagers. And this was just a teenager movie that is still a really easy to watch, enjoyable film. So
fun. So much fun.
This film starts out with Shia and his dad. In the first couple minutes of this film, you start this movie in a block of cheese. I mean, you are literally wedged into a block of cheese. It is so cheesy. It is just insane, the score, and then it's Shia and his dad are fishing, and they're and just having the best. It's just the most beautiful,
love you,
perfect.
Son.
Yeah.
I love you too, Dad.
Yeah, it's like watching a Hallmark commercial. I mean, it's just. It's really bad. And the first couple minutes are really bad. And then right after that, they're driving home. Some guy is trying to cut Shia off. For some reason, Shia's driving. I don't know why that's happening. The dad should drive. Clearly, after what happens. And the guy cuts him off, and then he swerves out of the way, and there's this boat or car that's stopped in the middle of the road that Shia hits. So when it comes down to the word triggering, I've been in 2 car flips personally, and I've been in a front collision, head-on collision with a pole that is just all 3 of them have destroyed my cars. And somehow I'm walking around and talking. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I left another timeline where Sinbad was Shazam. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yet to be seen. But I will say that the way that they shot this car crash, my heart and my adrenaline was pounding. I was just immediately brought back to they got it all right. And not for the good reasons. They got it all right, but for people that have been in a car crash, it is messed up, man. The sounds, the scrapes, just how fast, how blinking fast everything goes. Even though when you're experiencing it, it's a little slower. How blinking fast it actually all is, and how fast you can get injured or lose someone. His dad gets hit by another car coming by. It is all just I was just messed up from the beginning of this film. And it's something that didn't affect me when I first saw this movie, because I saw it as an invincible 16-year-old who was going to live forever. And now I'm a 30-year-old man who's I should check my blood pressure when I go to Rite Aid. I'm just in a totally different place.
I actually put in my notes, I'm apparently I blocked this scene out of the movie.
Yeah,
I have seen this movie several times, and I never remember the scene. And every time I watch it, I was like, oh yeah. Ugh. Even I've been in fender benders and stuff, but that scene, with the second hit, that
it's
just
horrific.
Yeah, it's like it starts off really harsh.
So he gets in the car accident. He loses his dad, unfortunately, and then we kind of skip forward an inexplicable amount of time, and he's in school, and his teacher is picking on him for not participating in Spanish class. I have to say that's the most justified teacher face punch I've ever seen.
Absolutely,
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, why are you picking on this kid who just lost his father in like the most gruesome fashion ever?
I told Matt watching it, I was like, this teacher 100% deserves everything that he has coming to him. And if I was his mom, if I was Shia's mom, I would have been like, good for you.
Right.
Good
Great job. Yeah. And give me his address because I'll lay one on him too. Because this guy sucks.
Enjoy your house arrest.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he deserved a face punch. I think he deserved a kick in the nuts.
Solid point.
I think some could say he deserved both. I don't know. It could be argued for both.
Kick him in the nuts, and then when he crouches, like he's bent over, uppercut.
Finish him.
Fatality.
Shia's in no legal trouble from the car accident. All of his legal woes come from this teacher face punch. He's then put on house arrest in the most like ridiculous 2007 fashion. Like this GPS signal triangulates to this router to his ankle will notify our computers. I was like, oh my God, this is like considering how easy it is to track people now. It's like all of that was just so outlandish for 2007.
You got a cell phone? Yeah, they can track you.
Right. Yeah. That's it. You're done. This movie influenced, I hate to say it, but it influenced a lot of my life at the age that I saw it at 16.
Oh, for sure.
Like the song Because I Got High, I know Matt and I like
Afro Man, dude. Yes.
Afro Man. Or
how about me so horny.
Me so
So
horny.
I actually bought that ringtone on my Verizon flip phone so that way whenever Matt called me, that's the song that played.
Makes sense.
From Matt. Yeah, of course.
And the best part was that usually we would like take each other's phones without the other person looking, and then we would turn it up as high as possible, and then we'd call each other in class.
Oh my God.
This movie definitely made me nostalgic for like, I used to like make my own ringtones. You had different ringtones for all your friends. Like it's crazy to like have that step into 2007. Like that movie is 2007 personified. The Xbox 360 online, like all of that stuff.
Dude,
like,
before we lose the flip phone thing, I just can we all agree there's no better feeling than flipping down your flip phone.
Hang up on somebody?
Right? Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
We're done.
Flip.
First, take a big step back and literally f your own face.
I don't want to talk through it plot point for plot point, but I will let the audience know a short synopsis. Shia LaBeouf is on house arrest. He's stuck at his home. It's this rear window type of setting, if you guys have seen the Hitchcock film. So he's got binoculars. He's just looking at his neighbors. He witnesses his neighbor who he thinks is involved in a murder, that his neighbor is the murderer. You go through all these mystery and clues and puzzle unraveling. And in the end, Shia LaBeouf gets over to his house, murders the murderer, and all is good in the neighborhood. He gets no sympathy in this film, right?
Not at all.
Ever.
None.
How is he normal?
Right.
Like, he killed a man. He
killed him.
Sorry. I will lose the point. I will lose the point. He effing killed a man.
I don't know why this hasn't been mentioned yet, but the lead character's name is Kale.
Kale. Yeah.
Bro, was this
What?
like pre the like kale
Was this
fad?
pre-Superfoods?
No, I think this is probably right around Superfoods. Point for Zach on Superfoods.
Like, what?
Might as well call him rabbit food.
I'm pretty sure in 2007, like kale is still on like salad bars as a decoration.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like I've watched this movie enough times. I feel like I don't need to watch it anymore because I mentioned this earlier this morning. Is like the further I get from my teenage hormones, the more problematic the stalking gets for me. Because it's like, that's the thing is it kind of gets yada yada, and I get it. Like teenage hormones, she had a crush on him too, so it's all good.
But it's
like
still
right?
invasive. Like he's a creeper. He's a total creeper.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's like I start to struggle with the whole I'm kind of further removed from those horny teenage hormones, and I can just see it as a kid that sets a timer for when a girl's doing yoga so that he can peek at through
That's
her window.
not okay. That's not okay,
but
bro.
I also I can acknowledge the fact that it's like they establish that she has a crush and blah blah blah. They try to yada yada, and she even says it's creepy, but once again, the further removed I get from it, the more I'm kind of like, it's kind of creepy.
My last thing that I wanted to say is that this was obviously a loose remake of Rear Window. Rear Window was actually based on a short story by Cornell Woolrich called It Had to Be Murder that came out in 1954. And the copyright holders of that book sued DreamWorks and Steven Spielberg. But the case was dismissed because, and I quote, this is the court's quote, Disturbia is rife with subplots and is more dynamic and peppered with humor and teen romance. So if you ever want to get around a copyright,
this is a better story than your shitty story.
If you ever want to get around,
it is a court ruling that this movie was a better story than that short story.
Here you go. I'm going to tell you how the court ruling went. The court ruling is Steven Spielberg's lawyers cost more than Cornell Woolrich's estate lawyers. I'll tell you that right now.
No, it's what is it? Alfred, or they can.
What just happened?
I was gonna say they can.
He's short circuit.
They can suck Shia LaBeouf's Alfred Hitchcock.
We got there.
This is the last call for alcohol this evening. Drink up, and order.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. It is last call. Time to turn on the lights and put in your last drink orders because we're wrapping this show up. Today, we're going to be discussing the kill of the week and our cocktails. So, who wants to start with kill of the week? This honestly, PG-13.
Hey, Ben got it right this time.
It's tough.
Ben, remember that kill of the week goes first. Good for you, dude. Point for Ben.
Point to Ben.
Yes.
This is a hard week. I'll go first.
Yeah.
And I hate going first on these things because Matt did something in one of our episodes this season where he was like, Zach just wanted to go first because he wanted to say the thing that we all wanted to say. And it's really hurt my feelings. And it's totally made me readjust on how I say things. So I'm going to go first and I'm going to nominate a kill of the week that you guys wouldn't say. All right. So my kill of the week nomination is the officer in Disturbia when he gets his neck snapped from behind from the crazy killer neighbor. That was just so shocking and graphic and out of nowhere that had to just immediately rocket to at least a nomination of kill of the week this week because there were so few kills and the shock factor really got me.
I like it. I like that, and I'm sorry I ever made you feel bad.
No, it's fine. I'm messing with you. Gabby, what's your nomination for kill of the week?
Tremors, the shootout on the worm.
Oh, wow.
The 5-minute shootout on the worm was pretty great.
Nice.
So that's my kill of the week.
I had another one from Tremors, but yeah, that was a good one. That's very solid. Ben, what's your nomination?
Okay, so my nomination, it goes back to, it's not necessarily the person that gets killed, similar to Gabby's. It's the Falcon Punch.
Falcon Punch
from freaking Darkness Falls. Are you kidding me? He lights his hand on fire.
Ben, can you explain the whole process of that Falcon Punch, please?
Okay, so basically what happens is he's sitting there and he's basically getting grabbed by the Tooth Fairy and he lights his hand on fire and then punches the Tooth Fairy, lights her on fire, and that's how they kill it. That was amazing. Are you kidding me? How is that not unanimous for kill of the week?
As he throws the punch, he goes, "I see you, bitch," and
yes.
That's pretty. Right. With the line drop.
I see you, bitch. Falcon Punch.
That's pretty epic.
I see you, bitch.
So originally it was going to be a Wall of Guns versus Graboid just because that scene was probably one of my favorite scenes in all of these movies. But I actually want to pull another one from Tremors because Tremors just had so many great kills. The suck into the car going into the quicksand and just her getting pulled under. That scene was like scary.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm surprised it didn't get brought up, but I'll also say it as honoree. What is that called? When participation. Honorable mention, participation award. The shop owner in Tremors, I thought that would unanimously be the kill of the week because it was like so graphic watching him get pulled into the ground by the worm, and that was like one of the bloodiest and gnarliest kills. So at least an honorable mention.
Yeah, it deserves an honorable mention.
What are you guys feeling for the kill of the week? If I had to take a vote on all of our nominees, you know what? The conviction sold me. I'm going to have to go with Ben.
I don't know. I like the car kill from Tremors the best. Like, that one's my favorite.
Matt, you are the tiebreaker.
The Wall of Guns versus Graboid kill really was like the one that I came to mind with. So I feel
then
like
it comes down to Ben. If you're going Wall of Guns.
For sure. The Tooth Fairy kill, I'm just saying.
For this one, because it's not cocktail, he is allowed to vote for a nominee.
I can, yeah.
Yes.
So I think for me, like, that was just such a cool kill. Like, is it over the top? Is it cheesy? Yes, and I love it.
Kill of the week.
All I want to say is my kill of the week nomination didn't get a single vote.
Oh, yeah. Give me that cocktail of the week.
Cocktail of the week. Welcome into our last segment of the show, our cocktail of the week. This is where we try to find all of the perfect ingredients that we picked up along the way this week from all the movies we watched to create the perfect PG-13 cocktail. Hopefully along the way of this whole show, we can create for you the perfect horror cocktail. Who wants to go first? Because I know that we have a couple gingivitises out there.
I'll go first.
All right.
So my cocktail is a PG-13 shooter.
Ooh, nice.
So you're going to lick some calcium dust off your wrist. And then you do equal parts male camaraderie and sisterly love. You have one F word, a splash of gingivitis. You pound it, and then you take a nice big bite of Kevin Bacon.
Oh!
Wow.
That was good. That was really good,
man.
Mine's called a Voyeur Dream Shot. And it's 2
I love
ounces
the name.
2 ounces of tequila with the worm. Rim the glass with the ashes of the tooth fairy and drink in the comfort of your home while snooping on the neighbors.
Oh,
dude.
man.
In the spirit of a PG-13 episode, my drink is non-alcoholic.
Oh, that's such a good twist. Damn.
You have
such a good twist.
1/4 ounce of great pacing, 8 ounces of fun, and you garnish with 1 F-bomb, and that's where you get the PG-13 Roy Rogers.
Oh.
Damn. Jesus.
Mine is based off of a real cocktail. I wanted to go like the Ben route this week. Matt kind of called out last week that we always kind of do the same thing where we just list things we've seen in the films. And I was like, all right, I'll try to go past that. This week I made a cocktail that I actually love in real life, but I reworked it. It's called What the French 75. Its ingredients are 3 mother-humping ounces of gin, 1 bull-spitting ounce of lemon juice, 1 balderdash of simple syrup. Combine in your mighty friendly shaker, shake the shucks out of it, pour that mother sucker into a dagnab flute glass, and top with so much champagne it'll make your mama say, cheese and rice. That's a lot of flippin' flying alcohol.
Yes! Zach brought it to the table. Yes, that was amazing.
So good, dude. All of us, like
everyone.
Like,
this was crazy this week.
I like, you know what? I like this model now. We should follow the model of where it's like if someone brings it good to the table, like maybe it's like instead of awarding like just one person, we give a point to the people that really like make us go.
If somebody shits the bed, do they like lose a point?
No, I will say I do like the idea of having like an episode a season where it's the negative point episode.
Oh,
where it's like
every season should have a negative point.
This is fun and it's scary.
many negative points and positive points do I have?
You know what? We should tell the tally of negative and positive.
I'm curious.
So, for negative points on the low end, it's a tie between myself and Gabby. Gabby and I both had 2 negative points this episode. So,
That's
Gabby,
not bad. That's not bad.
we have good, good potty mouths on our end. We keep it clean. No bars of soap for us.
It definitely makes sense that Matt and I have a way higher.
I think I have the highest.
At second place at 4 would be Benjamin.
Yeah.
4 negative points. And taking the cake, 5 negative points from Matt. That's not bad though, guys.
That's not horrible.
How many positive points did I get?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Gabby's bringing up the rear. She got 6 total positive points this episode.
That puts it at +4.
Yeah. Right after her is going to be Ben at 10. Ben, double digits. Reach back. And in the first
6 plus
first
6
place position is going to be an even tie between myself and Matt with 12 points
Wow.
this episode. Matt, we need to be more generous to our co-hosts.
Thank you.
I
feel like I was generous.
I had moments of generosity in the fact that I have the most cursing because there were moments where there's 2 times I think where I was just like, that was so bad. I'm going to curse because I deserve for that to be bad. I deserve to be punished.
We're going to squabble over point pandering. We're going to talk over what these points even mean. We're getting closer to the end of the season. It's very exciting.
Oh my gosh.
I feel it in the air. The atmosphere is changing. These episodes are going to be in your households, in your ears so very soon that we are getting so excited ourselves. So we're going to figure out these point things and what the hell happens when you have the least amount of points when the season ends. I hope it's not me. Thank you so much for listening to Happy Horror Hour this week. I'm Zach.
I'm Ben.
I'm Matt.
And I'm your motherfucking final girl, Gabby!
Yeah! We got our 1 F word!
Oh,
it's just
fun.
That
was awesome.
It is, fantastic, Matt.
Awesome.
Like, the only thing that I wanted to add to it.
You know what? I'm going to give a point to Matt because that was
I give a point to Matt.
It was compelling.
The only thing I wanted to add is, and it was something that I forgot to say, is so there's a scene where the Comet basically took all the kids, right? And so I literally put in my notes, looks like the Comet is like my ex-girlfriend, just swallows up all the kids.
Wow.
Can we take away a point for that?
Yeah. My God, man.
Hey, I didn't curse.
This fat